Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. Summer is coming to an end and it is time to return to work and studies. However, the summer heat lingers for a while and it feels really nice. The government election in Sweden is fast approaching and the promises are piled high and everyone is trying to outbid each other. And as usual, when journalists scrutinize our politicians, they once again show their fraudulent actions. Electricity prices are at record heights and create anxiety in the market. And here too, politicians are trying to attract voters with various creative promises. But thank God we have numismatics to console ourselves with, and today I intend to answer some of my viewers' questions that I have received during this summer. Some of my viewers are wondering about some concepts that are used a little bit mixed and thus create some confusion. The question refers to following concepts: type coin, 1 year type, 2 year type, 3 year type, respectively coin type. I will answer these questions but also exemplify with some different so-called type coins. I have also received questions about what to focus on when you buy coins, if you want to optimize the value of your coin collection, and that question fits like a glove in the previous question. I answer this question in conclusion in this video. The two concepts, type coin and 1 year type, are used interchangeably and have exactly the same meaning. Type coin refers to a coin that only appears during 1 year with the same appearance, where neither images, denominations nor inscriptions differ, and there are no variations of numismatic significance in the year the coin was issued. In order to strengthen the concept of type coin and make it unambiguous, the strengthening term 1 year type is often used instead. In this way, one speaks of a type coin that only appears for 1 year with this appearance. What do I mean by numismatic significance? This refers to a difference that is decisive for the type classification of the coin. Minor variations, variants, overstrikes, etc. have no significance for whether it should be considered a new type coin or not. Typical examples of 1 year types that show a significant numismatic difference are Charles XII's riksdaler from 1707. During this year, two completely different types but with the same year were issued. These two riksdalers thus have completely different portrait types. Type 1, where, according to the fashion of the time, Charles wears a wig, and where the image also faces left, which is actually the only time during his reign that a coin bears a left-facing portrait. On the other type, with the same year, the image of the king is without the wig, and the image is here turned to the right, which is customary. Both of these 1 year types, issued with the year 1707, also belongs to the big game for most coin collectors. The coins are desirable and sought after by most coin collectors. Initially, I talked about minor variations that occur on the 1 year types, but which lack numismatic significance and thus do not affect the division into 1 year types. I will return to this later and will then also exemplify these minor variations. Some examples of classical 1 year types shown in this video during the introduction are Charles X Gustavus riksdaler 1654, Charles XII riksdaler 1718, Charles XII 2 Caroliner 1718, Ulrika Eleonora riksdaler 1719, Ulrika Eleonora 5 öre 1719, riksdaler 1727 with double portrait of Fredrik I and Ulrika Eleonora. Where all three riksdalers from 1654, 1718 and 1719 appear with minor variations without numismatic significant difference, which I will return to with examples shortly as promised. If we look at the page from my book, Myntårsboken, it is very clear what the 1 year type looks like. The coins in the denominations of 4, 2 and 1 Caroline only exists for 1 year with an unchanged appearance for each denomination. The 2-year type and 3-year type respectively also appear and, according to earlier reasoning, refer to a coin that only appears with the same and unchanged appearance for 2 and 3 years respectively. A typical 2-year type would then be, for example, Charles XII's 2 öre 1716 and 1717, Ulrika Eleonora 1 mark 1719 and 1720. Typical 3-year type could be Frederick I quarter riksdaler 1723, 1724 and 1726. But it goes without saying that when we start to reason in terms of 3-year types, the concept becomes almost uninteresting in practice as the connection to the attractive 1-year type becomes somewhat strained. The 2-year type, on the other hand, is more interesting and is closer to the classic 1-year type in terms of attractiveness. Where I think that the 2-year type from Charles XII can be represented by the beautiful and rare 2 öre from 1716. This superb specimen has also been part of the well-known collector Olle Ahlgård's collection, and with an interesting so-called provenance, the coin becomes even more attractive to the collector. The provenance is the pedigree of the coin. To return to what I previously talked about, namely variations that are not considered numismatically significant and thus do not affect the coin for new type classification. Charles X Gustavus riksdaler 1654 appears with and without 6 pointed stars on each side on the mint master Michael Hack's symbol, consisting of crossed hooks at the top on the reverse. The riksdaler is engraved by Johan Rete. If these stars have any built-in signal value, whether they represent some underlying meaning, such as silver content, minting place, engraver symbol, time of issue, or whether they only constitute decorations is unclear. However, the prevailing consensus among numismatists is that it is only a matter of decorative elements without any other meaning than just aesthetics. All of a sudden the magic happens. When I now for the first time begin to examine the 1654 riksdaler in detail, I discover a lot more minor variation that I had never observed before. Just like I have stated so many times before, it is important to examine the coins in detail, and in this way completely new things are found. When I compare these two different riksdalers, it is not only the stars next to the mint master's mark that differ, but also the so-called punctuation marks. On one riksdaler these are partly made up of diamonds and on the other of small rosettes. In addition, the diamonds of the crown ring are of different designs and the number of pearls on the crown arches is different in number. Yes, it's quite clear that the entire new reverse die is full of small detail changes. However, these are not of numismatic significant difference, so that it affects the division of this classical 1-year type. Another question that I have received concerns the rarity of these two different variants. When I count the number of specimens sold in the international database Coin Archives Pro, which has archived most of major auction company sales in the world since about the year 2000, the number of sales of variants with stars amount to 20 and the one without stars to 14. In short, this means that the variant without stars are somewhat rarer. In case of the Hedlinger riksdaler 1718, it has traditionally consisted of only one main type, but due to a significant difference of heraldic nature in the reverse coat of arms, it has been divided into two subtypes. Subtype 1A, which is the common one, has a 5-pointed star in the coat of arms, and the very rare subtype 1B has the clever star consisting of 8 lily stems. This riksdaler was engraved by the newly employed chief engraver Johan Carl Hedlinger. The first reverse die was incorrectly engraved with a 5-pointed star instead of the cleave weapon. The mistake was not immediately noticed and almost the entire edition was finished. When the error was corrected, only a few specimens were struck with the correct weapon, and today we only know of 3 examples of the cleave weapon in private ownership. What is relatively newly discovered is that several different obverse dies were also used. In total of 4 are noted, which have minor variations in the design of the clothing, cuirass and hairstyle. These variations are completely without numismatic significance and only constitute of variants in the various dies used. Before I will write the next edition of my coin yearbook, these die variations will be integrated as variants, and here I can state that the most interesting of these different obverse dies used is the one used for the striking of both obverse types, and thus is the link between the star and the cleave weapon. Here I show only 2 of the used obverse dies, one used for the riksdaler with star and one used for the riksdaler with the cleave weapon. And here you can see clear differences in hairstyle, cuirass, the cloak and the positioning of the image. The most recent auction sales of these 2 very rare coins with the cleave weapon took place in 2011 when Ulf Nordlund in collaboration with Künker sold Julius Agander's specimen, which was hammered for €20,000. And the other specimen, ex Roger Jonsson, was sold by Myntkompaniet in November 2021 for €30,000. Finally, regarding variations in the one-year types, Ulrika Eleonoras riksdaler 1719 appears with 2 different varying edge letterings, where the difference between the edge lettering is the distance between the individual letters. So, what does the term coin type stands for? A coin type is a much more general concept and constitutes of a rough division according to the design of the coin. An example of different coin types is Gustav V's 1 kronor from 1942, which are issued with 2 different designs but with the same year, and unlike the one-year type, both coin types appear with unchanged design for the number of years. None of these coins are thus one-year types. The first type of coin, type 1, which consists of 80% silver content, was struck in the years 1910 to 1942 and depicts the king's younger portrait with the date placed below the image. The later type, type 2, which was struck in the years 1942 to 1950 in 40% silver content, depicts the king's older portrait and has the date placed on the reverse under the coat of arms. A typical coin type is thus issued with the same design for several years, but other factors can also influence how we define a coin type and which criteria must be taken into account. Parameters such as region, place of minting, silver content, material, size, striking technique, engraver, mint master, etc. are factors that influence the classification of coin types. In conclusion, to make this reasoning crystal clear, the following applies, and I say this with a twinkle in my eye. A coin type can of course be a type coin, and of course a type coin can also be a coin type. However, you cannot put the equal sign between coin type and type coin. And now I return to the question of what one should think about in order to optimize the collection from an investment perspective. But before I go into this reasoning, I first want to underline that coin collecting is primarily a passion for the historical, aesthetic and numismatic. But with that said, I can still give tips on a few things that can be taken into account when purchasing coins for your collection. And as I said at the beginning, this question fits like a glove for the explanation of the concept of one-year type. All kind of reasoning has its own weaknesses and limitations, but for the sake of simplicity in this case, I treat the collector's market as reasonably homogeneous and demand equal across the different coin types. Let's say that the active collector who collect coins before 1873 have the ambition to build up a representative collection of Swedish coin types, not necessarily one-year types, but coin types of existing coins within the budget available to the collector. If we return to Charles XII's coins and the type coins that I previously showed, and study the relationships between the 2 öre 1716 and 1717, which is a 2-year type, and compare these with the 1 öre 1697 to 1717, which are struck and issued with the one and the same main design but with 22 different dates. Both of these coin types are, in normal qualities, well within the reach of all collectors and can therefore constitute a good example of this reasoning. And here comes the key point of my reasoning. If you are trying to build a collection where you want every coin type represented, it means that the demand is 10 times higher on the 2 öre compared to the 1 öre. Despite that, in my own valuation book, I value the 2 öre at only about 3 times the value of the 1 öre. Here it is easy to see that the 2 öre are clearly undervalued and it should cost significantly more if the prices are to correspond to its relative rarity. Similar reasoning can be applied to all other 1-year or 2-year types in comparison with coin types that appear with the same design for several years. Of course, the demand increases even more on the 1-year type compared to the 2-year type. An analogy with the river channel is that the narrower the river becomes, the stronger the current becomes and the more the pressure increases, just like with the 1-year types. All those who have the ambition to build up a collection of different coin types are automatically forced to buy the 1-year types, as there is nothing else to choose from. This reasoning and conclusions may seem self-evident, but despite this, is this point of view, strangely enough, not yet well established in the market. These conclusions give you a good idea of how you should arrange your purchases for the future. Finally, and in conclusion, for those of you who want to optimize your collection out of an economical perspective, buy first and foremost 1-year types. These are always most in demand, and this of course makes the increase in price go faster than compared to the coin types that appear with unchanged design during a series of years, and where the only difference is precisely only the change of the date. For those of you who haven't yet gotten bored, congratulations, and managed to watch the entire video with all its various details. I can now tell you that there is an opportunity to update yourself and deepen your knowledge of Swedish numismatics. I have published several books on Swedish numismatics, including all Swedish coins and medals, and I'm also a multiple award-winning author. In 2019 I published Gold Coins of Sweden, which includes all Swedish gold coins, also including all the Swedish possessions. This book won IAPN's book prize for the best coin book in 2020. Also, in 2020 I published a 2-volume book covering all Swedish copper and silver coins from 995 until today. The book comprises of total 1350 pages and describes all silver and copper coins issued in Sweden, including its possessions. This book also won the IAPN's book prize for the best book in 2021. In 2022 I published the handbook for all Swedish coins, Coin Yearbook 995 to 2022. I have also authored a few books on medals and their artists, and also a 2-volume fully illustrated book for all the Swedish royal medals. I hope you find this video interesting, and to help others with a historical and or numismatic interest watch this video, please like, share, comment and subscribe. It is free to subscribe and you don't commit to anything, nor will you receive any unwanted emails or offers from me. And you can, whenever you want, end your subscription. By subscribing, liking and sharing, you help YouTube's and Google's algorithms to rank up this video and thus make it easier for others with a similar interest to view this video. Also, make sure to hit the notification bell to get notified when I publish new video on YouTube. Thank you for watching.